Hi all, welcome back to i-TUTOR IAS Academy, Tamil Nadu History NCERT series. So this is chapter 10 of plus 2 and chapter name is Vellore Mutiny. Okay, so why Vellore Mutiny is here important, and Vellore Mutiny of July 10, 1806 is historically important, significant as the first large-scale first large-scale violent revolt by Indian sepoys against the East India Company. That's why it's important here, occurring over 50 years before the 1857 rebellion. Okay, and it signaled early intense resistance to British interference in religious customs, directly leading to the withdrawal of offensive uniform regulations and marking a major, though suppressed, anti colonial uprising. Okay. So, the precursor of to 1857 is one of the key reason it is important. It is often considered the first war of independence for shadowing the widespread revolt of 1857. And immediate trigger, the mutiny was triggered by forced changes in the sepoy uniform codes, including removal of religious symbols, that is caste markings, okay, and the introduction of a new turban that offended both Hindu and Muslim beliefs. Scale of revolt: over 200 British troops were killed or wounded during the single day siege of the Vellore fort, demonstrating the strength of native resistance and significant repercussion. The uprising caused panic in England and led to the disbanding of the involved Madras regiment and the recall of top British officials. Suppression: it was violently crushed by British reinforcement using cavalry and artillery, resulting in the execution or transportation of hundreds of soldiers. So, this is the base of this mutiny, and it was one of the violent revolt against first violent revolt against the East India Company. Okay. So, in this unit, we will cover and the cause for the Vellore mutiny, objective of this mutiny we will discuss, and the suppression of the mutiny and nature of the anti-British uprising. So this is just a small chapter, but all Vellore mutiny we will cover in this. So here is roughly one picture of Vellore. So in the map, so these are the area near Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. So this is Vellore mutinies places, and please refer from Google also. You will get the idea of the location of Vellore mutiny. Vellore was the capital of East Vile, North Arcot district in Tamil Nadu. At present, this district is named after its capital Vellore, and it is a well fortified and beautiful city. So this is the Vellore fort, and with the expansion of the East India Company's rule in India, the native rulers and their dependents suffered. The native rulers either submitted or rebelled. This rebellion had no clear vision or ideal, but purely motivated by the territorial interest of the native rulers and their ambition to preserve the old feudal order. And the heroism and sacrifice of individual like Pulitevar, Kattabomman. In last chapter we discussed about Kattabomman and Pulitevar and Marudu brothers had no parallel. But all these leaders never organized the common people for a unified and meaningful cause. The idea of nationalism, political consciousness, and organized struggle came much later. And in the Vellore, the native sepoy rose in revolt in 1806. This incident differed from other previous rebellions in the earlier rebellion where those of the native rulers, the Vellore mutiny was organized by the sepoys. The earlier rebellion had only a regional interest. Every prince wanted to safeguard his own kingdom at any cost, but company, this protest showed the future possibilities. So, what are the causes of this mutiny? And several causes are attributed to the Vellore mutiny, and Indian sepoys had to experience numerous difficulties when they went to serve in the company's army. The sepoys were forced to serve under the company since their earlier patron, that is native chieftains, were all disappearing from the scene, and the strict discipline practice, new weapon, new methods, and uniform were all new to the sepoys, and anything new appears to be difficult and wrong for a man who is well settled in the old way of life for a long time. And Sir John Craddock, the commander in chief, with the approval of Lord William Bentinck, the governor of Madras, introduced a new form of turban resembling a European hat. Wearing earrings and caste marks were also prohibited, and the sepoys were asked to shave the chin and then trim the mustache. The sepoy felt that these were designed to insult them and their religious and social tradition. There was also a popular belief that this was the beginning of the process by which all of them would be converted to Christianity. And the English treated the Indian sepoy as their inferior. So there was the racial prejudice. This was the psychological base for the sepoy mutinies in India during the company's rule. And the sepoys once served the local chieftains, either Hindu or Muslim. The chieftains were their own kinsmen, but now they served under the foreigners, and they can never forget their original loyalties. And the Vellore uprising was preceded by a series of protests by the Indian troops. In May 1806, the 4th Regiment rose in the revolt against the new turban, and the commander in chief took severe action. The sepoy who were found guilty were punished with 500 to 900 lashes. And before the mutiny, secret associations were formed and meetings held in which Tipu's family took part. And on June 17, 1806, the sepoy of the 1st Regiment named Pustapa Beg and secretly informed his commanding officer, Colonel Forbes, that a plot had been planned for the examination of the European officers and troops. But this was not taken seriously. On the eve of the mutiny at Vellore, Feta Hyder, the first son of Tipu, tried to form an alliance against the English and sought the help of the Marathas and the French. And Feta Hyder received a secret information through one Muhammad Malik, and beside Princes Feta Hyder and Moiz Uddin in particular were active in planning and the execution of the mutiny. Thus, there was the desire to revive the old Muslim rule in the region, and the Sepoy were aware of the tragic end of Pulitevar, Khan Sahib, Kattabomman, Mardu brothers, Tipu Sultan, and others. Hence, there were ill feeling about the British in the mind of the Sepoy. All this led to the rebellion. And cause of mutiny, the July 10th, in the early morning, the native sepoy of the 1st and 23rd regiment started the revolt, and Colonel Fancourt, who commanded the garrison, was their first victim, and Colonel May Karas of the 23rd regiment was shot down on the parade ground. Major Armstrong was the next officer to be killed during the mutiny, and about a dozen other officers were also killed. And Major Coots, who was outside the fort, dashed to Ranipat, 14 miles away, and informed Colonel Gillespie at 7 a.m. Colonel Gillespie reached the Vellore fort at 9 a.m. And meantime, the rebel proclaimed Futte Haidar and Tipu's first son as their new ruler and hoisted tiger-striped flag of Tipu Sultan. But the uprising was swiftly crushed by Colonel Gillespie. 800 Indian soldiers were found dead in the fort alone, and 600 soldiers were imprisoned in Tirchi and Vellore. Some rebels were hung, some shot dead. The uprising was thus brought to a bloody end, and Tipu's son was sent to Calcutta, and the commander in chief and the governor were recalled, and Vellore mutiny failed. There was no proper leadership. The rebellion was also not well organized, but it is the starting point of a new era of the resistance of the sepoys to the British rule. And the 18th century was marked by the resistance of the local chieftains. The first 6 decades of 19th century was marked by the resistance of sepoys, and KK Pillai rejects the thesis that Vellore Mutiny led to the 1857 revolt, and V.D. Savarkar calls the Vellore Mutiny of 1806 as the prelude to the First War of Independence in 1857. And N. Sanjeevi proclaimed that the Tamils had taken the real lead in the Indian freedom struggle, and K. Rajayan argues that this mutiny was a continuation of the Mardu brothers' resistance movement against the colonial rule. So these are the movements against the Britishers. Okay, so starting from 18th century onwards. So for the it start from actually the South India. The first of all the Vellore mutiny and Marido brothers resistance Kattabomman are the starting freedom struggle, freedom fighters against the East India Company. So that's about this Vellore mutiny, and so far we discussed about the multiple causes that led to the this outbreak of Vellore Sepoy mutiny, and the grievance of the Sepoys, such as new rules and customs implemented by the British in the army, and the suppression of the revolt, the nature of this anti-British rebellion. So these much we discussed today, and for more videos you just do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.